I learned how to read systems when I was 3. My dad had a stroke. Nobody explained it like that. I just remember the house feeling different. Both of my grandmothers showed up, which was a rarity. Nobody said anything. And my dad, my person, was just gone. And then one day, we got to see him. I remember being so excited, like, okay, things are finally going back to normal. They wheeled him into the conference room, and I climbed in his lap immediately. He smelled the same, warm and familiar, everything that I had missed for so long. And he didn't respond to me at all. Wouldn't look at me, wouldn't touch me. He just sat there. And I remember asking, Daddy, what's wrong? Nothing. And something in me shifted, not consciously, not dramatically, instantly. I stopped being a kid in that room and I started paying attention. I was 3 years old and I was already a caregiver. I didn't know that then, but I was being trained. I thought I was just being a kid who loved her daddy. Turns out those two things were happening at the same time, and I never stopped. I didn't know what that was for a long time. I just thought I was good with people. I was intuitive, aware, the one who could walk into any room and figure out exactly what was happening before anyone said a word. And honey, that worked for me for a long time. School, work, relationships, leadership. I could read what was needed and become quickly, efficiently, and without being asked. But the first time I realized that it had a name, when I noticed I didn't know how not to do it, that there was no off switch, that I wasn't choosing it anymore, that it was just running all the time in every room, every conversation, in every relationship. And that's when I understood this isn't just who I am. This is what I learned to do to survive. I just never unlearned it. And here's what it cost me. Not in theory, not professionally, in real life. Relationships. I have loved people at a volume they weren't even loving themselves. I felt the potential of who they could be and mistook it for who they actually were. I stayed too long in things because the warmth I felt in someone's presence felt like connection, and it wasn't always. Sometimes I was just absorbing their energy and calling it love. And when it ended, it hit me a whole hell of a lot harder than it hit them because I was carrying more of it than they ever were. Time, years, actual years of being in rooms physically, emotionally, professionally, without ever actually being present, managing everything, fixing everything, anticipating everything, getting to the end of good days and feeling nothing. Getting to the end of good years and wondering where they went, a version of myself that never got to exist. The June who didn't have to perform competence to feel worthy. The June who could ask for help without it feeling like failure. The June who could just be somewhere without immediately figuring out what that somewhere needed from her. She existed in pieces. I existed in peace, but the system kept interrupting her. And here's the part that's hardest to say out loud. I built things, real things, a career, a reputation, a body of work. And for a long time, I couldn't feel any of it because I was so busy making sure everything worked that I never learned how to be enough. That's not burnout, and it's not depression. That's a woman who learned at 3 years old that her job was to hold things together and got so good at it, she forgot she was allowed to put some of it down. I'm Dr. June Christian. I work with leaders and high-functioning adults who are excellent at everything except being present in their own lives. And I do this work because there was no version of my life where I wasn't going to build something from what started in that hospital room. What changed for me wasn't that I stopped seeing things. I still read rooms. I still see patterns faster than most people know they exist. I walk into organizations and within minutes, I can see where the system is breaking, where people are overfunctioning, where leaders are reinforcing the exact dysfunction they're trying to fix. That didn't come from a textbook. It came from a 3-year-old learning how to read her daddy's silence. What changed is I learned how to stop, not perfectly, certainly not all the time, but I can catch myself now. I can be in a moment without immediately trying to improve it. I can let something be enough. I can be enough. I can feel joy, real joy, actual joy, without waiting for everything to be okay first. I know that that sounds small, but for someone who started where I started, it's everything. Because now I actually experience my life. I don't just manage it. I think a lot of people are living the way I was. I was really good at handling things, really good at being who's needed, really good at reading every room they walk into, losing relationships they didn't know how to stay inside, losing time they didn't know how to feel, losing versions of themselves that they never gave permission to exist. And if that's you, I think it makes complete sense, given where you started, given what you were handed, given how early you had to grow up. I just don't think you have to stay there. If you recognize yourself in this, it's not random. You've been living inside a pattern that works. The question is whether you still want it to. Sit back,